If you're enjoying Paths to Glory, be sure to check out our two other podcasts. Paths to Glory Kenya shares powerful stories of faith and transformation from the heart of Africa, voices of hope, revival, and purpose. And for the young and the young at heart, don't miss the Jones Family Chronicles, a fun, faith-filled adventure series for the whole family. You can find Paths to Glory Kenya and the Jones Family Chronicles on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. Subscribe today and keep walking the path to glory. Everyone has a story. That story is your path. A path filled with trials, triumphs, transformations, and miracles. Welcome to Paths to Glory, where we dive deep into the extraordinary narratives of those who have had their darkest moments turned into beacons of hope.
It's my path to glory. What an amazing story. I'm so glad that he had a plan for me. It's my testimony. From glory to glory, I'm so glad that he had a plan for me.
Each episode unveils the raw, heartfelt stories of redemption and renewal, showcasing the awesome power of God. Prepare to be moved, inspired, and reminded that no path is beyond redemption. Now join us and let these powerful stories illuminate your own path to glory.
It's my path to glory. What an amazing story. I'm so glad that he had a plan for me. It's my testimony. From glory to glory, I'm so glad that he had a plan for me.
All of our discussions are special, but this one was, well, more special. Perhaps it was the guests or the details of the discussion. It was certainly both of those things, but I think even more special was the spirit of the couple. There's something sacred about hearing two people look back across 52 years of life together. 52 years of love, struggle, revelation, and redemption. And realizing that every detour, every heartbreak, and every breakthrough was all part of God's slow and patient plan. Their story began like many others, young, ambitious, and unaware of what the future held. Childhoods rooted in discipline and hard work, families who had survived the Depression and built their lives on perseverance, not privilege. They carried that same grit into marriage. Two young people determined to make it, but doing so without the direction of God in their lives. Those early years were loud and chaotic. Work, family, expectations. There was love, yes, but there was also distance, the kind that grows slowly, almost quietly, when the pressures of life and the absence of faith start to take their toll. But God was already working behind the scenes. It began when a brother in the family, once far from church, suddenly started walking to service with a Bible under his arm. The rest of the family was stunned. It didn't make sense. But that one simple act would become the spark of an entire family's revival. When the invitation came to attend a Pentecostal service, something shifted. One visit turned into a lifetime. She walked through the doors and felt a voice whisper, "Home." That night, she wasn't just attending church. She was being called. Baptized in Jesus' name on January 1st, filled with the Holy Ghost a few weeks later, the course of their lives changed forever. Soon he followed, then his parents, then siblings, and one by one the family began to return to God. What began with one person's decision became a household restoration. A new legacy was born. In the years that followed, they served faithfully, teaching, singing, driving Sunday school buses, and raising children in the truth. The road wasn't easy. There were seasons of testing, church transitions, painful misunderstandings, and long stretches of waiting for direction. But every time they prayed, fasted, and stayed obedient, God met them there. One night, a simple dinner with another couple who had just lost a child became one of those defining moments. They expected to offer comfort, but instead received conviction. As they listened to two grieving parents speak with peace, faith, and gratitude, something in their own hearts broke open. How could they, blessed and whole, still be holding on to bitterness and disappointment? That night became the turning point. The moment the past lost its power and forgiveness became the new foundation. Years later, another defining moment came in the quiet of prayer. After decades of work and transitions, life brought a season of change again. Retirement, shifting leadership, a new generation was rising. It's easy in those moments to feel displaced, to wonder if the best years are behind you. But as she prayed, the Lord spoke a simple word: seek. And when she did, something extraordinary happened. During a message, two words leapt out of the preacher's mouth: defining moments. And in an instant, everything connected. Every trial, every healing, every prayer, every divine rescue suddenly fit together as a pattern of God's faithfulness. She began to thank Him, really thank Him, not with empty words, but with understanding, for the man of God He had sent, for healing for depression and despair, for protection on highways and in heartbreak, for every miracle and every mercy. And somewhere between thank you and amen, all the weight she'd carried for years simply lifted. Because bitterness couldn't survive in the same heart that was giving thanks. Another voice came soon after, quiet but unmistakable, and addressing a current transition in church leadership. That voice said, you can trust Him with your soul and with the souls of your family. That moment sealed the peace she had been seeking. The story of this couple, like so many on the paths to glory, isn't just a story of what God did years ago. It's a story of what He's still doing. From restoration to revelation, from business success to kingdom service, from heartbreak to healing, every step, every trial, every whisper from heaven has been another defining moment in the making. Because when you trace the hand of God across a lifetime, you realize something. Miracles don't always arrive in thunder. Sometimes they come quietly. In a prayer meeting, a dinner conversation, a still small voice, or a sermon that simply says, be thankful. And that's where defining moments live. In gratitude, in obedience, in the unshakable truth that God is not finished writing your story. And this story? Well, it's yours, Doyle and Lois Garrett. And this is your path to glory.
Me, I had 4. There's 4 kids in my family.
Okay. Were you you were a Phoenix native or an Arizona native?
I was born and raised in Phoenix, about less than 3 miles from the church. I lived there at that house until I was 15 years old.
Now, when did y'all move to Payson?
After my sophomore year of high school.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah.
How many? Oh, so brothers, sisters? There's 4 of you. What's the mix?
I have 1 sister and 2 older brothers, all older. I'm the baby.
You're the baby.
I never would have imagined.
I would have never guessed that.
You? I mean, would you have guessed that she was? I mean, yeah, you would have. Don't, yeah. Okay. Family in church growing up? Did you attend any kind of service?
Actually, I grew up in a church. I went to, until I was 15, I went to the Grace Brethren Church at 31st Avenue and Bethany Home Road from the time I was a small child. My mother was raised very religious, Baptist, and her idea of religious training was, I'm going to expose them to it, and then they can make their own decision when they get older. But when I tried to get baptized at about 11, she wouldn't let me.
Now, what kind of church was this?
Brethren.
I don't know
It
what that
was
is.
a holiness type church, Trinitarian.
Kind of Southern Baptist.
Yeah, they were
Okay.
very similar.
Now, did the whole family go, or did you just primarily
They all went at one time. The older we got, though, they kind of dropped off and went to their own churches. So my parents made us go to a church, but as it got older, it could be the church of our choice. So I was the last one going there. My sister was going to Love Baptist. My other brother was going to a Baptist. And my other brother, I don't remember where he was. I think he was going to Love Baptist too. But, my oldest brother went to a church where they had a basketball team. So
Yeah. That's kind of the way I grew up
Yeah.
too. Yeah, same kind of stuff.
yeah, that church is still there. I mean, it's called something else now,
But yeah, at 31st and Bethany, good family life.
To be honest, we had a phenomenal childhood. My mom and dad were both products of the Depression, and my dad suffered horribly in the Depression. His dad deserted the family when he was a baby. And he had 9 older brothers and sisters at home. And so his mother raised them during the Depression on cleaning houses. And
her dad, when he was born, her grandfather was 63 years old when his dad was born.
Oh.
Yeah. So he was 63 and he just decided he couldn't work anymore. So he wanted to move back up to Springerville. And with his oldest daughter, who my dad's half sister. And my grandmother said, no, I'm not going. And so he deserted 9 children in Phoenix and he left. So my grandmother supported the household and along with older brothers and sisters. And my father literally, what they had, they went through the alleys of Phoenix, him and his older sister, picking up garbage and cast-offs in the alleys. And that's how they got their money. And his mother ironed and cleaned houses and cleaned the church. And then my mother, she was raised in the Depression. They lost their farm. She lived in North Dakota with her family, and they lost the farm. And they had just had a tornado come through, took all of their buildings other than the house. And then the Depression hit. So she was a small child when they moved into town. But so they, they grew up with hardship, and they didn't want that for us. So my mother worked my whole life. My earliest memories is calling my mother at work at Motorola. She worked as a supervisor there for many, many years. And so, my mother worked really hard, and she paid for we had a swimming pool. We had a cabin up in Pine.
So you had a good, solid.
Christmas was magical. My mother was the driving force in all that. My dad was a very complex person that he was very quiet, very stoic. We weren't allowed to show emotion. We weren't allowed to talk. We weren't allowed to argue. We weren't allowed to whine. We were to be seen and not heard. And everything was very strict. We had strict hours. We were in bed at 10 o'clock. There was no arguing. We did 1 hour of homework every night. We had our chores. We did them. If we didn't, we suffered the consequences. My dad spanked me 3 times that I can remember in my life.
Yeah.
That was, they weren't spankers or that kind of, but they had their ways of disciplining us that, we didn't.
That's funny. I can still see that regimented lifestyle. I can see that mark on you. That it was that.
Yeah.
Very, very.
Yeah, my husband's nickname for me, one of them is Clem, which is my dad's name. He calls me Clem.
No, I mean, but it's not a bad thing, clearly.
And he was totally against religious. He never went to church. My mother went with us as children, but as we grew older, she didn't go. But my dad, as a matter of fact, at one point, to be honest, I don't think I ever had one meaningful conversation ever with my father in my whole life. And the one time that in a group, when us kids went to discuss family matters with my mom and dad, my dad, of course, 3 of us go to church, 3 of us kids. And he made, the awful remark about, as far as I'm concerned, religion is for, for people who have no clue about life and don't know what they're doing. So, he was totally against anything religious. So,
but your mom wasn't that way with it?
Oh, no, not at all. No, the only thing, when I told her we were going to church the first time, she told me, well, just don't make it your whole life. Because she had some really bitterness against some in-laws, because, my aunt, her brother's wife, because they were Church of Christ, and, everything was the church, and there was some real family problems because of it. But
very interesting. Okay, but it wasn't. But you didn't have a negative God.
Oh no, absolutely
experience
not.
as a child.
No, I had a very good one. Very good background.
Solid family.
Our whole world changed in my childhood when I was in 6th grade. My dad had a heart attack at 42.
Okay.
And so then he ended up getting a disability, and that's when we moved to Pine. At 15 years old, after he got his disability, he tried to work his own company, and he couldn't
do it. So
they moved to Pine to lessen the stress. And my parents were done parenting at that point. They were done. And, my sister and I have talked about it over the years, and she was always like, oh, I would call mom and dad and tell them they need to, get more involved. And, and they would tell her things and wouldn't say one word to me about anything. They were just done. They didn't even talk to me. I had my own life living in Payson. It was wonderful. I loved it. I'd live there now if the Lord would let me. We tried a couple times to move up there and it never worked out. But so when I graduated from high school, from Payson High School, I went to NAU to college, And I was just started NAU this school year. And in September, my sister called me and said she's getting married. She wanted me to come down and help her make bridesmaids' dresses. And so that is when I met Bob Garrett. My sister was married to Bob Garrett, my husband's brother.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's when I met Doyle. And I met the Garrett family, which is an experience in itself.
Yeah.
Because you can imagine, here I am, this very backwards, quiet. I'm a readaholic. All I do is read and study and, do books. And I did sports. I did a lot of sports in high school. I was really involved in that as a kid. But so I meet the Garrett family. Doyle and I, went on our first date like 2 weeks after we met. And so we got married about 2 years later, right at 2 years later.
And how old were you?
I was 19 when we got married. Doyle was 20.
Very similar to my wife and I. Okay.
Yeah, but
That was a long time ago, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was. Well, we just celebrated our 50th wedding anniversary last Saturday. So,
That's awesome.
So we've known each other 52 years. He sent me a dozen roses, and they're exactly like that dozen roses he sent me 52 years ago.
Oh,
It was really sweet.
that is very sweet.
But it made me cry.
Sure.
I'm not a crier.
Exactly. But that one got you.
It really got me. It really did get me. But
You were kind of a loner then. I mean,
very much so.
yeah, they were very much
Absolutely.
not loners.
No, literally, I would walk in the house and they are fighting and they're wrestling and they're arguing and they're, tussling and just, it's loud. And I'm like, see you later. And I go in the bedroom with my book and they're all, doing their, I couldn't take it. I absolutely could not take it.
Yeah, I
Now,
can see
at
that
that
being a real
time,
shock.
None of them were in church.
None of them were in church. And so they had moved from Fresno. They were going to the Fresno church with Brother Lane.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole family was in church. And the two Garrett families were very, very close.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they just literally, Doyle was in the same classroom as Bishop.
I did not know that they went to Fresno Church.
They did.
So they were all there when Brother Lane was there.
Their family was very close, always had been very close. And so even the sisters and, all of them were very close and they always lived in the same places. But yeah, they were all in Fresno actually. And so when Doyle was in like third grade, his dad had backslid a couple years before that. And so his mom and the kids, they all still went somewhat to church and not all the time, and then just before Brother Bean came in, they had left. Doyle was in third grade. They had moved to Phoenix.
So they weren't there during that revival?
They were not there.
Okay.
Wait a second. I take that back. I'm sorry. I'm incorrect. Brother Bishop Garrett just told us the story not very long ago. They were there for it. They were not in church, but they were in
gotcha.
town.
Okay.
And he told us the story that one night of the revival with Brother Bean, that he got up and said, look, I'm tired of preaching to the same church members. I want everybody here to go out and go invite somebody and bring them back to church right now.
Like during service?
During service.
Stop. Let's go find people and we'll start over again here.
Yes. And Uncle Bill went to Hazel and TJ and begged them to come to church that night. And they would not go.
Oh.
They would not go. So then it wasn't too long after that. Then they moved into Phoenix. And then, so then when Doyle I was 17 and he was 18, we met, through my sister and Bob, and got married. And we were married and had one child. And And it was a really rough time then in 1979 when, for the Garrett family, it was really rough. There was a lot of things going on. My sister and Bob.
Not just your family,
but
but
the whole family.
The whole extended family.
Bob and Phyllis were getting a divorce, and there was other things, business dealings and things like that, where it's a lot of turmoil. And Doyle and I were having a lot of marital problems.
Oh.
And,
I know it's hard to believe.
Yeah, you're very, very easy.
And, really and truly, if it wasn't for God stepping in at that point, we would have gotten a divorce.
For sure.
But so when you really didn't have any memory of church because you were so young when you moved to Phoenix.
I remember going to church at Harvey and Thesta. I remember the basement. So this was a Sunday school.
Oh, so you remember.
My two aunts were Sunday school teachers there. And I have a lot of memories of
But
church.
You didn't get the Holy Ghost there.
No.
Okay.
No. We moved here when I was in third grade. So I was probably 5, 6, 7, probably 7 or 8 when we moved here.
Okay.
And
he started grade school, at 4 years old.
4 years old, yeah.
Yeah.
My mother, she just wanted me out of the house.
Well, he has 2 birthdays because of his legal birthday being in November, and he was allowed to go in at 4 when he actually didn't even turn 5 until January because his birth certificate is wrong. So, yeah, he was 4 years old.
The facts that we learn on this podcast are amazing. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you have your birth certificate's wrong.
Yeah.
So when is your birthday?
January. I was born in 1955.
But your birth certificate says November
of 54. Yeah, they got the year wrong.
11/12/54.
Oh, wow.
Typed out in numbers on it, but it should have been
1/12/55.
Right.
I was born in a clinic. I wasn't even born in a hospital. I was born. In fact, the clinic was the doctor's house next door. He bought the house next door, had a hallway built from the house he lived in to the house he bought next door, and that was his clinic, and he lived in this house.
And that was in Fresno?
In Brawley.
Oh, in Brawley.
Yeah.
In Brawley.
Different times.
Yeah. Wow. Really crazy times.
Yeah.
Go ahead. Continue on. Tumultuous times.
So a lot going on. And I can remember one day, I was done. I was not a drinker. I did not do drugs. Doyle did. Mm-hmm. And it had gotten to the point where it was affecting everything in our life. Mm-hmm. And so.
And again, you're still relatively young.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And still none of the Garrett
We'd
family.
We'd only been married 5 years. So I was like 24.
Yeah. And none of the Garrett family was going to church.
Nope. None of them going to church. So Bob and Phyllis were getting a divorce. And, it's his story, and I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I can't remember it really. But Bob started going to church at that point, which is a shock. It was a shock to everybody.
That he was the one.
That he was the one.
So he was the first one.
First one going to church. And he actually was going to a Wesleyan holiness church. It was a Trinitarian church.
Oh, he didn't just start going to West Phoenix.
He didn't have a car.
No, it was within walking distance of his mom. And he was living with his mom and dad. It was within walking distance of the house. And so one day.
Now you're the oldest?
No, my sister Erlene and
you're right. Okay. Okay.
Bob's we were having kids. My parents and the bishop's parents were having kids one right after another. Every year they had a new kid's born. So I'm between Bill and Pastor and the bishop.
Okay.
But my sister Erlene's the oldest, and then Bob.
Okay.
And so I came home. I came home from work. Joel came home from work, and there was a trailer parked out at his mom and dad's. We lived right behind him, kind of like right around the corner, back to back. And we saw the trailer out there, and it turned out to be Bishop Garrett. He was evangelizing. He was in town, and he stopped off. Well, that's when him and Bob had gotten together. And
Bobby was actually walking down the sidewalk with a Bible under his arm. And the bishop saw him and said, "What are you doing?" And Bob said, "I'm coming from church." And he said, "What church?" And he told him, and he says, "No." He says, "I'm going to set up my trailer. I'll come back and get you for church tonight." And so Bob was the first one to start going to church there.
And then Bob asked me to go to church with him real soon after that.
Now, just ask you.
He probably asked Doyle, but I'm sure Doyle didn't want to go. I don't remember, but I remember
Doyle was like, no, talk to
for
Lois.
whatever reason, I was like, yeah, I want to go.
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah, I want to go. So I went to church with Bob that night, and I will never forget it. It was like I walked in the doors, and it was just that small, still voice when I walked in.
Mm-hmm.
And I know it was the voice of God and just said, home.
Home.
You are home.
Now, this was West Phoenix.
1979, West Phoenix. Mm-hmm.
Pastor Wesson at the time.
Mm-hmm. And so I was baptized on January 1st.
How long after going the first time?
So that was probably in October.
Okay.
October-ish sometime. And then in the meantime, Doyle decided to go. He wouldn't let Bob take me anymore after the first time. So Doyle started taking me. And so he started going. And then his mom and dad started going. And so I was reborn on January 1st. And then I got the Holy Ghost on February 10th.
Who was first of the whole bunch? Bobby? Was he still the first to get the Holy Ghost?
No, he was the last. He went months and months without getting the Holy Ghost. So Doyle got it like a week or two after I did. Hazel and TJ, I don't remember. They were in there somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, we were all going to church. And then eventually, Janet and Jeanette started going to church also.
What a
So
miracle.
then everybody starts coming back.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that is amazing. And it all started when Bishop was here preaching a revival.
Yes, absolutely. And
Now,
I
were
thank
all of
God
you, so you were
every
going to
day-
church then where Bishop was preaching this revival?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I thank God every day for the day God sent the man of God to our family.
Amen.
I'm telling you, it made the whole difference in our lives.
Yes.
We were never the same. Never the same.
Yeah, because you probably never would have gone to that church. I mean, there would have been no reason to have gone to that church.
Mm-mm.
Never would have even thought about it.
Nope.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we, when he came to Arizona to pastor at Glendale, we tried really hard to, and a lot of people did start going to the Glendale church.
Mm-hmm.
We tried, but, there's this agreement between pastors, of not changing. We were obedient, and Bishop said, please don't.
Sure.
And we said, okay, fine, So we did stay there for like 12 years or so. We went to
Was it
West
that long?
Phoenix.
Did you really
Yes.
stay 12 years after Bishop came here?
No, totally from beginning.
From the beginning.
until-
Okay.
It was a good
It was several
9
years.
or 10.
Yeah, it was several years, if I remember right.
And,
You mean
and-
at West Phoenix?
Yeah, at West
We lived there
Phoenix.
almost 13 years.
Yeah,
close.
that's what I said.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah, 13 years. We were very involved in West Phoenix. We jumped right in with both feet.
Mm-hmm.
We were involved in Sunday school. Doyle drove the Sunday school bus for 11 years.
Hmm.
I was a Sunday school teacher. I was a Sunday school coordinator. I did like the ladies. We just, sang in the choir. I mean, we were involved in absolutely everything.
And by this time did you have the 3 kids?
Well, we had Jennifer about 10 months after we got into church.
Okay.
So, and then a couple years later, then Chris was born.
Chris.
Carrie was just a baby when she was like just over a year old when we got in church.
By the time, so when it was time to make a move, It was a big deal.
It really was. There was situations there,
Mhm.
but, I'm not asked to do anything.
Mm-hmm.
So I had been praying and fasting and
Mhm.
praying and fasting. And there was a point, and I can't even remember, it was sometime in the late 80s. Brother Morton came and he preached a fellowship meeting at Glendale that we went to. Our whole church, a lot of our church members went to it. Pastor Wesson was there. And he preached on holiness. And that was just like, wow, talk about an eye opener and revelation of holiness. Holiness was never preached at West Phoenix.
Interesting.
Really?
Nope.
Well,
No, it
rarely,
was
if
not.
ever.
Rarely,
Yeah.
maybe a little touch on the surface of something. But right after we got into church, we were given a piece of paper. We were made members. We were given a piece of paper with the platform rules. And some people followed the platform rules and some people didn't. But
Mm.
you can,
Yeah.
But anyway, but when we heard the message of holiness, we were just, it was revolutionary for me. I mean, it just made a huge difference. And it was just like, that's the difference, So we continued on there for a while, and there was a lot of situations going on, but the night that a video camera was set up in the back of the church, and I'm sitting in the choir and watching this all play out in front of me when TJ walked, church had started and TJ was a head usher, and he told the man to take the camera down. And of course, the video was the big thing back then.
It was that was happening.
Yes, it was. And so, and the guy said, "Oh no, I have permission to video." And so TJ, I watched him walk up the back, down, up the side, got about halfway, and the pastor said, "No, motioned him. It's okay. It's okay." And so TJ just was shocked. And I watched him turn around, go back, stand by the door. And that lasted about 2 minutes. And then he walked up. He got Hazel from the 4th row. And she grabbed her purse and they turned and they walked out of the building.
Heartbreaking.
It was really traumatic.
Yes,
it was
it is.
very, very traumatic. And it was heartbreaking. And, but to me, that was like, okay.
Yeah, that was
God just released me.
Yeah.
Yes.
God released us. And so a week later, then we left. But it was really tough there for a couple of months. It was difficult there for
So we didn't go to church for a couple months. And one day, one evening, she told me, she goes, "I can't live like this."
Mm-hmm.
And so she went over to
with
Pastor,
the kids.
and
Went to Glendale Church.
but
Drove
she
in the
was-
parking lot.
But she was dressed like this.
Mm-hmm.
And when she came home, I went, "Okay, you didn't go to church." And she goes, "Have you seen how those people dress?" I go, "Well, Yeah.
I did. I drove in the parking lot. We didn't dress up at West Phoenix.
Yeah.
I mean, we had shorts, not really short
People wore
sleeves, but
Mickey
to the
Mouse t-shirts
to
to
the
church.
elbows,
Yeah.
Mickey Mouse
There was-
Dead
t-shirts.
serious.
Yeah. And so I just drove right through the parking lot and drove away and went back home. And so the next church service, then I dressed up and had the kids dress up and we went to church.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now this was I was trying to put the whole thing together. We had just finished remodeling our building because I thought Bobby was coming around when we were remodeling, but he might have just been helping.
No, I think that's right, because I came over a couple times when we were still going to West Phoenix. I didn't do much, but I came over a couple of times.
Okay.
But I think it was right after you guys finished that remodel.
That's what I was thinking. It was
So it was early 90s, 92,
Yeah.
something like that.
I don't know if she, but I don't
93.
know if she told you, but when the bishop took the church or was going to take church, he called me. Did you say that? Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then he told me we weren't welcome.
Yeah.
You didn't tell him that part?
Well, I didn't tell him in those words, but
I know. I called him and I said, hey, I mean, we gave him a month or so. And I called
But you probably in your mind were like, oh, that's where we're going to go.
that's right.
Okay. You know, in all honesty, I said, okay. You know, I mean, that's all I said. I told him, I said, hey, Lois and I are going to start coming to your church. He goes, no, you're not.
No, you're not.
I go, we're not. He goes, you're not welcome at our church. I go, no, okay. I mean, what do you say?
Yeah.
Right.
You know, so we stayed there. And then when she started going to church, I didn't go. I stayed home. And I guess when the bishop saw her, you know, where's Doyle? You know, he's home. And he called me. Yeah, he said, hey, you're welcome. He goes, I understand. I know what happened. You're welcome. We started going there.
Thank God for an ethical pastor. Tell us about when you decided to take the kids out of public school and put them in the Christian school.
You know, we've been going there for a while, and I can't say that it was the first 7 years we went there. We were still dealing with issues, you know,
Sure.
about what had happened previously, and
It wasn't just a jump in.
No,
Yeah, all the
No.
way in.
no, it
But
was not.
That's the way it was over there, though. We were literally involved in
That's what she said, in everything.
Yeah. And so we were kind of taking a break, if you know the truth. At least I was.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know.
we did, and so we've been going there. I don't know, 6 years or so, something like that. It was in '97 then, 4 or 5 years,
Mhm.
I guess, and Pastor Garrett got up, and our kids were going to public school. You have to understand, you know, Carrie was in the gifted child program,
Mhm.
had been since early elementary school. They were very involved in the choir and all the different
Yeah.
programs they had at school and high school, and very involved. And Jennifer was in National Honor Society, and I mean, everything you could be involved in at
Mhm.
school, they were involved,
Except sports.
except sports. You know, they were not involved in any of that. But and so when Pastor got up one night, and he talked about the school, the importance of Christian education. I mean, what he said really hit me hard. And I'm like, you know, my kids need this.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was praying about it. We talked about it.
Now, given what you just said and all that your kids were doing, it still hit you that hard that it was
Absolutely.
like, okay,
That's right.
we really should think about doing this.
You know, one thing I've learned is, you know, it took a while.
Mhm.
It took a while, but I have learned some submission lessons, you know.
Yeah. Wow.
Or as Elder
Come on, Doyle.
Sister Duplessis said it so cutely. She said, "I just learned a long time ago, you just don't argue with God."
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I learned it was easier. You know, it just made life a whole lot easier.
But not in the beginning. I mean, Carrie fussed with us. Jenny fought us.
Really?
I mean,
Absolutely.
Well, yes,
so
because
they had,
they
but this
were
was
so
also a
involved.
different time. I mean, I say a different time. Now, it was starting to get sketchy, and it had been sketchy in different ways in public schools at that time.
Well, Carrie was going into 11th grade. Jenny was going into 9th, and Chris was going into 7th. And we had battled with Chris because Chris diagnosed ADHD,
I am shocked.
trouble with school. I mean, every year it was a battle from kindergarten all the way up to the 6th grade.
I was doing the police station in Show Low, building a new police station. While we were up there, we picked up an addition and remodel on the Lakeside Pinetop Country Club. So I was doing 2 jobs up there. And I was coming home twice a week for meetings, 3 times, whatever, meetings with the school, the principal, and all those people. And I'm telling you, it was just stress. It was when we went in and talked to the principal, and the principal said that when I when we
dealing
first
with
put him in
Chris.
school, yeah, when they started that next year, and we started seeing the same exact thing. So I went and talked to the principal. And I said, "Hey," I said, "does this new teacher, is she aware of what we went through last year, what we talked about, what we got put together, and everything for Chris?" And she goes, "Well, no."
He had
And
an
I went,
IEP.
"What?" She said, "No." I said, "You got to be kidding me." She goes, "We don't want to prejudice the teacher against the student." I said, "That's a good point." And we put him in school. We put him in church school. I mean, brother, you cannot believe the
Was he did you put him in first?
No, all
No,
three
you moved
of them
off.
at the
Okay,
same
you
time.
did. But
That was one of the factors of putting him into the Christian school. You have to understand, I come from a education, all my family are teachers.
Yeah.
Aunts, cousins,
all
really
educated.
big on education. My parents pushed education with us.
But I'm really curious because your kids had been around the church. I mean, they'd been in the church long, so they had friends in the church. So it wasn't a leaving high school friends thing.
Well, for Jennifer, it was.
Was it really?
She
Her
had
best
her
friend was
life
Des.
all mapped out. She was going to be an international busin+woman.
Oh, yes.
Yeah,
She
I
needed
remember,
a
yeah.
foreign language. She needed this. She was a driven A+ student. Like Carrie was, she was in the top 1%, always tested in the top 1 percentile. Made B's and C's.
But I see Carrie, Carrie's that creative.
Yes.
She's
Yes.
very much like me in that she's, she shoot from the hip. I can see the whole school change as being, okay, whatever, and excel at it and do well and, whatever anyway. But
Jennifer refused. So we finally we said to her, look, just give it 1 year. And if you don't like it after that year, we'll talk about it. And so, this was 7th grade for Chris.
oh my goodness.
First whole book he ever read. Sister Mize did a phenomenal job working with Chris. He read his first book.
Wait a second. 7th grade.
7th grade.
Been all through school and had never read an entire book.
That's correct.
Yeah, but that is our public school system.
Yes.
I mean, we'll get off on a tangent here if we don't watch
Yes,
it. But
exactly. Don't
believe
get me started.
I could go there. I could go there. And so at the end of that first year, my kids just jumped into it. They loved it. Then after that first year, that summer, Jennifer was old enough to drive. And so I signed her up for a driver's ed class
We made them all go to the drive.
at the high school there where they, would have gone to Centennial. And so it was really, it was just God. The first day she goes, the first person she sees is her best friend that she had,
Yes.
Des, in elementary school. And Jennifer comes home that night from this first day of driver's ed, and she says, she was crying. She's like, Mom, I just have to tell you, thank you for putting us in Christian school.
Oh.
And you got to understand, Des was in hip high silver metal flake platform go-go boots, hot pants, something else.
But which was not like her at all?
No,
Okay.
was not like Jenny at all. But
And she had become a lesbian in this year from 8th grade.
Oh, my goodness.
And 10th grade. So, her best friend. So she was very, very thankful.
Yes.
They just took off. They got so involved, in school. They loved it. Loved GCA. Loved Christian education. So,
And for somebody like Chris, very, very much like Michael, very similar paths, educational wise, it was the difference.
it was a difference.
It made the difference.
It
Made the difference.
absolutely made the difference.
Believe it or not, with all the CDs and Fs, Chris is a really intelligent. He's on that dyslexic spectrum. That he could not read and he could not spell. But Sister Mize worked with him. I can't even begin, to tell you all that she worked with him with the taps, with giving him computers, just everything. She just worked so hard with him, and the teachers worked hard with him. And And he ended up doing very well, in school.
Be able to identify it. But there was another level that the Garrett family hit at some point. There was like another plug-in level, another, I got it, and I'm all in. There was something that happened because there was another change.
That's something else I thank God for all the time. For me, it was the point where one night Pastor Garrett asked Doyle and I to take brother and sister Jones out to dinner because he was tied up. And so
Now, brother and sister Jones, Doretha, and okay.
So we went out to dinner that night, and they had just lost
their little
child.
boy.
And we had such a good talk with them. And they were so positive and so uplifting. And here we are, all we're talking about is how we were done wrong at West Phoenix.
Yeah.
And here they were so positive, the goodness of God. And I came away from that and I went, something's wrong here. Why am I still letting these people who just lost a child, what's going on that I can't get over what happened at West Phoenix? And I prayed and sought God until that was like a done deal. It was just like a whole different.
But that took some time. That was
It did take
years.
time. It was years. It was years. And I was probably still working at the church. I was working at the church at that time. So I started working at the church in 97.
Yeah.
97.
So it took,
I was
it
principal
years.
from 97 until 2001 for 4 years. And then I started, and that made a big difference too, just getting
being
really
there
involved.
every day. Yeah.
And then I became the secretary, business manager of the church then for 19 years. So I was there for a total of 23 years.
Just Bob, that whole thing, that dinner, I remember we went to Cheesecake Factory and, I remember that whole thing because it was almost like a revelation.
It was.
It really and truly
For
was.
both of you.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know what was really, I don't know, what was so cool about this whole thing with that, the Jones were just here a couple months ago. And he went and bought a new truck. When he came back, he didn't have a hitch or anything that fit his truck. And so I had bought a drop hitch. I had no idea why I bought it. Didn't need it, didn't want it. I took it over to him and I said, here's hitch for you. He goes, oh, cool. We started talking. We started talking about that night. And when I told him what happened to us after that dinner, it was like he looked at me and he said, Brother Garrett, he said, would you mind telling my wife? Would you tell my wife what you just told me?
Yes.
And I did. I went upstairs and I, Brother Jones and I told Brother.
Oh, it's like you have to tell her now.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Like right now. Yeah. And so I went up and told her. And I don't know what was going on. I don't know what was happening. I don't know what God was doing or what he wasn't doing. I don't know anything about it. But when I told her that, it's like she just melted. She just started crying. She just started. And it was just like, Brother Garrett, you have no idea. All I know is that it was kind of like returning. We returned something that they gave us that night.
Yes.
We were able to give it back. And again, I have no idea what it was, but she just, it was just like unbelievable. And just before they left, Brother Jones just came over and hugged my neck.
So when you really drill into that, then this is where things like this really blow my mind when it comes to things of God. You were asked because Bishop couldn't take them out. And it was like, can you fill in for me? Had you ever been asked to take anybody else out to dinner?
No, we took the He took
Not very often.
no, not very. Maybe 3 times.
Yeah, that's what I'm
since
going to
we've been
say.
here. Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah,
even
not
us,
very often.
like in years and years and years, it was just such a rare, such an oddity.
Yeah,
Right.
And for it to have worked both ways.
exactly.
And how many years ago?
Oh,
Yeah,
year-
you-
yeah. I
you
mean,
think about it.
Well, you said 90 something,
97,
late 90s.
Yeah, until just a few months ago. This year.
Yeah. Yeah, that's just,
The way God works.
Yeah,
is
it's just
Crazy, huh?
yeah, and
He never
for it to
ceases to
affect her
amaze me.
that
Oh,
much.
So you never know what they were going through at that
see,
moment.
exactly.
And
that's
that's-
exactly right. Well, they had left their church. They were
Mhm.
given the church.
Mhm.
They had been trying to sell their house for over a year. Maybe he said 2 years, but a long time.
Mhm.
Trying to sell his house, nothing. They dropped it. I mean, on and on and on. So, to be honest with you, I can live in a shoebox. I don't care. But I know for a lady, a home is special.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing.
And so I'm kind of figuring that, God called him to do something else. And that was her home. And that was, walked away
Well,
from
just
Ivan.
the whole
But you didn't know
transition.
that when
No,
you were talking to them.
not
They
at
were
all.
just
No, I
all
didn't.
up
No.
and
Yeah,
Nothing.
I had no idea. And I still don't know, to be honest with you. I'm making an assumption.
so there was a time. I'm right. There was a time.
Oh, yeah. It clicked for us.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if you remember this, but somehow you and I, because I was working in the office for you,
Mhm.
and we started reading, unbeknownst to each other, we were both reading A Woman After God's Own Heart. Of course, we had the Bible college. I was going to the ladies' class, and God was beginning to deal with me about submission. And I
too.
remember one day I had
You
brought
too?
Absolutely.
Yes,
Oh, really?
I brought the book in and it was sitting by my desk. And she walks through and she goes, "Are you reading A Woman After God's Own Heart?" And I said, "Yes." And I turned around and was like, I am beginning to see this. And we began talking about how God was opening our eyes
Absolutely.
And
to a
and I have to say,
revelation of submission.
yeah, and we go to a church where our pastor taught on submission. It wasn't like that was your revelatory moment, to be able to.
No, but you know what? Everything in my life has been a revelation.
Yeah.
The oneness, even though I was brought up oneness, and I truly, yes, there's only one God. But when the preachers would get up and talk about that excitement, I remember telling you,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know there's one God, but I've never had that excitement. And you were like, "No, you've got the revelation." And I'm like, "I don't know." Started praying about it. And Bishop had those elders coming and preaching. And I think it was I don't remember. Sorry. He's preaching on oneness, and that revelation hit me. Okay. The same thing happened with the submission.
Absolutely. Me
Same
too.
thing happened when I got a revelation of what iniquity was. I mean, holiness, just down the line, even though we're in truth.
Right.
And a very strong
Yes, we're in
pastor. We were in a strong
Yes.
church. I mean,
you still have to get it for yourself.
That's right.
Did she tell you what she told me the first night she came home?
no.
Pastor had taken my brother to church, I don't know, for a week or 2 weeks, or, back then a revival was 6 nights a week.
Oh yeah, yeah.
And so he was picking Bob up every night. And then one evening I came home from work, and she said, we'd talked a little bit about the church, what kind of church it was and that stuff. She told me, she says, she goes, I'm gonna take your brother to church tonight. And I said, cool, go for it. I'm thinking, she's gonna learn here, But she had gone, I don't know, maybe 1 or 2 nights before she told me. She said, church. She goes, they really got something. That's really, Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, you probably took him to church for 2 or 3 weeks. I don't even remember. And I finally just said, look, if you want to go to church,
And we had
I'll
never
take you.
talked about church.
We got married in a Baptist church, Greenway Baptist Church.
His experience,
Reverend Eccleberry.
in the Fresno church, we never talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
And when we moved here, we would go to North Phoenix every once in a while. Not my folks, but us kids. We would go to North Phoenix because my dad backslid in Fresno, and my mother kept going to church. Us and my mom and the kids. But once we moved over here, my mom quit going to church. So we'd go to Brother Outlaw's church, and then Brother Diller took it. Brother Diller's church once in a while.
That's the name I could not remember long ago. Outlaw. I couldn't remember that.
Well, and then seeing over the years how God has worked in your children.
That's the one that, then you just, now where would your kids have been?
Oh,
It's the truth.
yeah. Well, Chris and Raven left the church for 11 years.
Yeah.
Prayed quite a bit for them.
Yeah.
Look at them now.
Yes.
Yeah.
The Bible says raise them up. They won't depart.
Right.
And that
Never
was
forget.
truly God answering prayers. And
Yes.
just bombarding God and with prayers.
So, Brother Doyle, I asked you about this before we started recording, but this is just rolling in my spirit right now. You were a successful businessman, you and your wife. And so you've lived that life. And now you're living the life of a servant for the church.
Yeah, I'd like to know about that too.
Yes.
Yeah, what
Talk about that journey.
that took you to working full time as
When we started our business, I had a shed out in my backyard. Just had reloading stuff and what have you. And I was doing a job in California. Built a skiff in California for Edwards Air Force Base. My partner, my soon-to-be partner, was my project manager. He came over there one time and he told me they had we'd taken a job in Albuquerque, New Mexico, Alamogordo Air Force Base in New Mexico. And we were bidding a job at Kirtland Air Force Base in Albuquerque. And when they took that job, they started embezzling money. The feds was looking at it. So to make a long story short, we quit, we backed out, and we started our business. And when we started, we literally had nothing. We sold our vehicles. I bought her that old Buick, remember? Drive something we could pay cash for. And back we were coming home from Pace one time, it broke down. But anyway.
We were living on credit cards at that time.
That's exactly right. And I don't know how long we went before we got our first paycheck, but my first paycheck was $141 on there, and had 3 kids and a wife, and house payment.
I was working at the state for the Board of Nursing.
But
So you were the moneymaker at the time.
Yeah.
You were supporting your husband.
You know what? But God made it work. We
Right.
never missed any bills.
Right.
It was pretty amazing, to be honest.
it really was, because when you bid a job, you don't just pick up plans and bid it. You have to buy those documents. You pay for those. You pay for the privilege to bid. So we were taking credit cards, and we were paying for everything on credit cards, and that'd get full. We'd throw it in a drawer and go get another one. And
what a lot of people don't understand is putting an estimate together is not necessarily cheap.
No.
Not just buying into it, but it costs money to put something like that together.
And Bob, when you start out, you don't know anybody.
Nothing.
You call people and ask them for bids, and they go, "Well, who are you?"
Right.
Exactly.
I mean, it's difficult. I'm telling you, but also I'm going to tell you, God took care of everything, and He really did. Our very first job was a kitchen addition at Parkway Elementary School, Mesa School District, and we got in on that ground floor, and for some reason they liked us. And I'm telling you, we probably built more schools than the contractor at the time. We built 3 2-story classroom buildings in 2 months, just over 2 months. I mean, 3 2-story. About that.
That's record speed.
That was stressful.
Yeah,
That was very
they got
stressful.
a $30,000 bonus for $75,000 bonus for each one that they got in before school started.
They wanted, my contract said it was 25 days after the start of school, but they wanted it for the start of school. So they gave me $1,000 a day per school for every day we finished early. We actually finished 2 schools 25 days early. The third one we only did 17 days early because we had a flood. And yeah, we washed out. Yeah, that's a whole nother
Now you were
story.
you were going to West Phoenix at the time, or did this
No.
even start before you started going to church?
No, this was after we
Okay,
left West
okay,
Phoenix.
okay.
So, yeah, we had just left West Phoenix.
It was like 1990, right at the beginning.
Oh, I did not realize it
1990.
was that late when you
I'm
started.
sorry. No, we did start it in West Phoenix. We were going to West Phoenix. That's right. I'm sorry. But we hadn't been going in business too long before we left.
Okay, okay. So it was relatively around the time when you made the move. Okay, okay.
But you know, just through the years, I mean, we never, in the 21, 2, 3 years that we were in business, one job we turned in late. Every single job we turned in was on time. But one of my best memories, two of my best memories is we were bidding work, and we, you know, if we had good people, we wouldn't lay them off. We'd pay them to sit home, you know. And we'd been paying Dave Gibson and Ken and a couple other guys to sit home. And you can't do that for a long time, you know. And so one day I went into my partner's office and I said, "Hey, give me your bid list." And so he handed me his bid list. And I started to walk out and he goes, "What are you going to do?" I said, "You know, you've had your chances. I'm going to take this to a higher authority." And so I took it to the pastor, prayed over it, you know. And that very next day, he bid a job and we got it. And I think that week he bid 3 jobs. We got all 3 jobs. And the Deer Valley School District gave us, we didn't even have to bid it. They gave us the highest percentage job we'd ever made. So,
Okay,
when
so
God works. When God works.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah. So to go through all of that, and I don't know about how or why it ended, doesn't really matter. But to go, why to the school? How did that happen?
well, when we quit, when we shut everything down,
Okay, first of all, you have to understand, he was burned out. And I just, in prayer, and I even went to him and said, "Look, Doyle, I don't know what's going on, but I really feel like God's going to take us in a different direction."
You felt that.
And didn't happen right away. It took a while,
2 years.
but the pressure was on. We probably had 5 or 6 lawsuits right in a row. It was just stupid stuff.
Bob, I called every contractor, every supply house that we owed money to. And I called them and I brought them in the office one at a time. And I said, "This is what we can do. We can settle for this amount, or you can get in line back here. The line starts back there to sue me. So whatever you want to do, just jump on board." And every one of them settled.
Looked at him at the kitchen table and looked at him and said, "He's just not the same person he was. It's just too much."
What year was this?
2012,
Okay, so then when
13,
did you finally close the business?
2012 was the last job we did. I remodeled the courthouse in downtown Tucson. And so I was driving back and forth every weekend.
For
I stayed
over
there
a year. He was
year.
in Tucson.
Here in 2 months.
So then what was your plan?
Stay in bed.
Just
Well, he didn't work for about a year. He just,
Yeah.
for about a year.
I was down at the park. I went down to the church to build tetherball poles for the kids.
I remember
Kids
that.
wanted tetherball
Yes,
poles.
I
I went down
remember
there
that.
to build those. Pastor walked up to me while I was building those poles, and he said, "Hey," he said, "I want you to think about something." He said, "I want you to think about being the principal." I laughed at him. I literally laughed at him when I found out he was serious. So I went on a 3-day fast. I prayed about it, and I have no idea why, but it felt fine, you know? And so he told me, "Okay, come to work on this day." So I walked in
Now,
there.
if I remember right, there was no principal at the time. Did he follow
he had
you?
taken over for Brother Luckenbaugh, actually.
Okay.
That's right. There was a span there.
And so I show up. I clean shirt, you know, and I show up, and everybody's looking at me. You know?
That's not Doyle.
Piper Sister Luckenbaugh finally walks up to me and says, "What are you doing here?"
He didn't tell anybody.
Not a person, not one
That
person.
is classic Bishop right
and
there.
I said,
Hires you as the principal And doesn't tell anybody.
Doesn't tell anybody. Yep.
I told her, I said, I'm your new principal. She went like, you're not my principal until pastor tells me you're. I said, no problem. I understand.
And so you just never left at that point.
Well, I think I was principal 5 years, I think. And, but, when I got down there, I found out certain things, and so the teachers, I heard one of them say something I wish I'd had something or something. And I go, I can help you, and I'd go help them. And they were all like, what are you doing? Evidently, their husbands always came in. Whatever they needed in the classroom, the husbands came in.
Yes, our husbands had to do it.
So I just started helping them. Well, I was kind of a hero. You know what I mean?
No,
I didn't even mean to be.
Totally
but
get
I
it.
was.
Mm-hmm.
And then we started the building.
Mm-hmm.
And I was trying to do that. And, and I'm telling you, to be honest with you, I was just like, it was too much.
Exactly.
There were just too many things. And so finally, one day, Pastor came to me. I didn't say uncle, though. Pastor came to me and said, he said, I think there's just a bit much here. And that's when Pastor Brother Garrett came home. And he says, I'm going to make him principal, and you need to concentrate on that.
On the building.
Thank you.
You went through a change in pastors since you've been at Valley Pentecostal Church. And you have history with the family. And was the transition hard for you?
For me?
Yeah.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all.
It was really hard for me. I was gonna talk about this, but I retired like 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
Love it. Love
Mm-hmm.
retirement. Doing all kinds of fun things now
Mm-hmm.
that I haven't been able, because I'm a workaholic myself, and
Mm-hmm.
so perfectionist.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm getting to do a lot of the things that I haven't done in years. But when all that change started coming around, we knew it's not like anybody said anything, but
Correct.
we could just tell.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I was really, not just struggling with that, but there was other things I was struggling with, and things going on in life,
Mm-hmm.
trials and things that
Mm-hmm.
happen. And I just, at that time, it was like very, very, really hard. And I was really having a hard time praying. And one day I just went into God and I said, look, God, I've been praying about this, and my prayers are going about 10 feet high
Mm-hmm.
and no further.
Mm-hmm.
And I need to have some answers.
Mm-hmm.
I need some direction, and I need to hear from you. And so I just started praying about it. And again, that small, still voice just, said, seek. And so I did. And I went on a journey that has totally changed my life. And so I just stuff I had learned, preaching that started coming, and I was praying about it and fasting about it and seeking God and feeling like every message being preached is right
Mm-hmm.
to me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, one day Brother Hansen was there. It was in August in 23. He was there and he preached a message. And he said 2 words that just literally a light bulb went off in my head, and it was defining moments.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like everything just came together.
Mm-hmm.
And it was what Pastor had been preaching about, enter to his gates with, with thanksgiving, into his courts with praise. And that was always been my prayer method or format.
Mm-hmm.
It was like praise and repentance and thanksgiving and, then your request and then more praise.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I always, for years, I prayed that formula.
Mm-hmm.
But it was like this light went off on defining moments. And and I had this revolutionary moment about Thanksgiving, about giving thanks to God.
Mhm.
And it just came to me, okay, that is the key to this. And it's not just saying words in rote and just saying empty words. Now it's saying words that have meaning, connecting with God, and words that have meaning. And so I went immediately, got a piece of paper and a pencil or a pen and just started writing what I'm thankful for, what I'm thankful for, what I'm thankful. I mean, from the very first, and every time I pray, starts out with thanks for sending the man of God to us.
Yes, amen.
To the times when God healed me, healed me of depression that severe depression, that healed my migraines, that delivered me from things, that answered prayers and rescued me in situations. I almost got killed with a semi truck, and at the last second, I just for some reason changed lanes when a semi came down, on the way to Payson one time with all my kids. And, just those things, all those defining moments, I just started thanking God for. Thanking God. And I did not realize until that moment how much anger and bitterness there was. And it was like, there's no way to hang on to that stuff when you're thanking God for everything.
This is true.
It's impossible.
It's impossible. And it just wiped years. And this person and that person and this situation, it just wiped out years of that. And it just made such a huge difference connecting with God using that Thanksgiving. If I have a problem with my husband, with anybody else, it's thank you for them. This is what they've done. This is, all the positive things and how, the goodness that they have done.
Yes.
And so, I just dwell on that now. But there came a point, it's like, okay, I've had this revelation. And so now on prayer, my whole prayer life is changed. I said, okay, God, I am going to try this out. I'm going to pray. So I said, I just want you to know I'm having a real hard time with this transition. I know it's coming. I'm really having a difficult time, and I don't know why.
Okay, genuinely, I need to dig into that a little bit. No preconceived idea, feeling, okay, other than the obvious one of age and experience and things that all of us kind of were like, we were spoiled.
Yes, we were spoiled. Very spoiled. Yeah. And it was kind of a scary thing to think about. And a lot of people don't like change. I love change. I love good change.
Good change.
Sure. And so, I was really torn about it. And so I just prayed, God, you're going to have to help me with this. You are going to have to help me. And again, that small, still voice just told me right there in the church, praying where I usually sit. And it was like, you can trust him with your soul and the souls of your family. And it was just like at that point on, I had absolutely no more trouble with it. I mean, it was just...
And you were fine.
I was fine.
For me, it was when Bishop had that last major heart attack. He was in California and ended up driving. Or I think Brother Garrett went and picked him, whatever. And Pastor now was preaching. And it was a very...
tumultuous.
Yes, time at our church, obviously. And I remember just getting that feeling of, I'm getting behind this man. He's filling in. He is giving his best. And I remember he was preaching hard one Sunday night, and he's coming down the aisle, and we're standing, I'm worshiping, I've got my hands raised, and I open my eyes, and he's coming down the aisle preaching, and I see the same anointing on him that I would see on his dad.
Mm.
And I knew at that moment, okay, if he is ever my pastor,
This will be okay.
this is going to be okay.
Yeah.
Now, when we all, when it actually all started happening, it was a little hard. It's like, no, Bishop's supposed to stay, he's supposed to stay 40 forever, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no, I didn't have a problem with it,
Mm-hmm.
but it's amazing.
I think most people were not sure of Pastor Garrett
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
when he first started.
Mm-hmm.
There was a couple people came to me and we talked.
Yeah.
But I really and truly think, well, to be honest with you, I kind of think his preaching's a little better than Bishop's.
Wow. Are we leaving this on here?
Yeah, I think we should.
No, I'm just saying.
No, I
all
understand.
doubt, all.
You know what I want to ask him? I want to ask him, did you ask God for a double anointing?
No, I agree with you, sister. I honestly and truly do because I was not sure. I truly was not sure.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm telling you, it wasn't very long.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like, yeah, we're good.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, we're good.
Yeah, we're okay.
You know what? How I kind of have looked at it and kind of felt like it is Bishop Garrett was the man of that time,
Yes.
and the need of the church,
Yes.
and then he passed it on to someone
Yes.
for this time,
Mhm.
Yes.
and that's how I look at it.
Yes.
So,
Bishop and Mom Garrett changed our world.
They did.
absolutely.
They changed our world.
You've been listening to the Paths to Glory podcast. To contact us, send your emails to pathstoglorypodcast@gmail.com. We all travel different paths, so it's important that we remember Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all thine heart, and lean not unto your own understanding. In all thy ways acknowledge him, and he shall direct thy paths. Our paths to glory. Thank you for joining us.
It's my path to glory. What an amazing story. I'm so glad that he had a plan for me. It's my testimony. From glory to glory, I'm so glad that he had a plan for me.